Well, it's pretty hard to get a bit closer, but I see I am humongous on the camera at the moment. And it's also because I'm wearing yellow. It's pretty stupid to wear this. Last time I wore this was in a wedding.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
I was like, wow,
the bride was the bride wasn't happy when I came in. Hi, and I got all the attention. Don't you?
I've killed many. Heel will zien in. Alles over zeggen is alles steeds.
Yeah, I'm Shawn Frison. I'm senior designer at Jaeger on Spec Ops: The Line.
So you're senior designer. So you're an important man, Shawn.
I am a very important man. It's you can tell when I walk into a club, the women just flock to me. It's amazing.
Really? Are you like a neck turner?
You know, I think I'm a whole body turner.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Bodies turn towards you when you enter a room.
Absolutely. I don't know if they're thinking complimentary thoughts, but they're turning towards me.
Oh, pretty cool. So, Shawn, you're a senior designer on Spec Ops: The Line, and I don't think I've ever heard the word senior designer. Was it senior designer? I've had creative directors, and there are a lot of terms. So, what exactly do you do?
You know, it's actually just kind of a big mixed bag of stuff. So I'm right below the lead designer, and so I was originally hired to do weapon design and balance and tuning, and then that sort of expanded into sort of general design and, you know, everything from like I did the tuning on like the aiming controls and basic shooting, and some of the voice acting direction, and just a big mix of stuff.
Oh, that must be very cool to do a bunch of stuff a little bit, probably.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's actually one of the things I really love about my job is that I always have, I get a little bored if I stick to the same task too long, so it's good to have something to mix it up.
That must be hard to be a weapon designer, because then you are, or like a shotgun designer. Do you have a shotgun designer on the team? It would be awesome.
No, that would all be me. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting with like a military shooter like this, you know, 'cause, it ends up being a lot of research and a lot of, you know, I wasn't like a huge gun nut before I got on this, but you're
a pacifist, probably.
You know, I can't confess to anyone that I've killed, but so for the record, yes, I'm a pacifist. No, but so it was a ton of research, and honestly, like, you can't do that without getting a little bit excited about it. Like, there's some really cool stuff out there.
Did you read weapon magazines?
You know, I did a ton of internet research, and we had a military advisor on the game, which was a huge thing. Like, I spent a lot of time talking to him. Okay,
you have him on the team as a military advisor for everything weapon related.
Yeah. Well, not working at Jaeger, but he's a friend of the lead designer, and he's actually stationed over in Oman right now, working doing security for the state.
Must be pretty expensive calls when you need advice.
No, actually, we do it through Skype, so it's totally free. Yeah,
pretty cool. So, Spec Ops: The Line, you made a very special choice, which makes the setting unique. You went to Dubai with Spec Ops: The Line. Why did you make that decision?
You know, there's a bunch of stuff. One of it was just that it's an amazing city visually, and it's architecturally really iconic. So it's one of these things where as soon as you see it, you know where you are, and that was something we wanted. And then also what we liked about it was that, so we had this idea that, you know, we wanted a city that was isolated enough from other places that it could conceivably be isolated by these sandstorms. But we like the idea that, you know, you take this beautiful, pristine city and then you just wipe it out with this natural disaster, and then the people left behind in the city, you know, things start going a little crazy, and that's a little bit of a sort of a parallel development to what happens with the characters, where, you know, they come in, they're very professional, they're trying to do the right thing, and then after going through all these terrible things, you know,
terrible things, not just terrible things, but terrible things. The hard thing about this interview is going to be that I do not want to spoil anything. That is the hardest part for me, to ask questions, because I want to ask questions about the final mission I played. Do you know the final mission I've just played?
Yes.
That was pretty harsh.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's definitely some brutal moments in this game.
Brutal. That is the good word.
Yeah.
But it's not brutal like in, you know, it's pretty easy to be brutal in visuals, but it's also brutal. It is more brutal in like a feeling like, no, this can't, no.
Yeah, I mean, well, we wanted it to not just be like a shock effect.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think it's pretty easy just to get the cheap, like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But we wanted something that was, not just provoking, like, holy shit, but provoking, like, thought-provoking as well.
Yeah, you are provoking. You are.
Good.
You are, yeah. I was provoked.
Excellent.
Personally, very provoked.
I'm happy to hear that, even though I'm glad that I made you slightly miserable.
Yes. So you chose for Dubai, and chose. It is a military shooter. There's a team of 3 where you go through your missions with, and choice is also very important. That is why the shock effects are so hard. But I played, I think, 7 chapters, and I had about 3 choices. I mean, how important are those choices in terms of gameplay and direction of the story?
Well, it varies a lot from choice to choice. What we basically wanted to do was make choices that were as emotionally impactful as possible. It's like really the focus was on making it seem emotionally like you were dealing with the same sort of situations that soldiers really have to deal with. So it varies a little bit, but like the one that you went through, for instance, I'm not.
A soldier would not be in that situation ever.
You don't think so? I mean, I think that's a pretty common thing, actually, where people are choosing, I mean, not that very, very specific thing. Obviously the specific plot it's a little bit larger than life, and, we wanted something that was kind of on a grand scale. But just in terms of, okay, do I go for my mission, or do I do what, minimizes civilian casualties? I mean, not that specific one, but I think that kind of thing happens a lot. But yeah, in that situation, like, for instance, I think this is safe to say without spoiling. You can actually avoid that whole combat if you went the other way. Then there's a huge combat that you have to go through if you make. So
sometimes you can avoid some combat situation when you choose right or choose one direction.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
No, that is hard, is it? Yeah.
There's definitely there's some different options depending on the decision. And another thing we do, as I think you played through the other demo we did as well, right? So, like you may have noticed that, there's sort of, option A, which is the soldier, and option B, which is...
Yes, if you want to spoil this, I will.
We'll
just explain it good, because there were 2 guys hanging on some, like, balustrade over the road. 2 guys hanging, 1 civilian, 1 soldier, and 1 guy said you have to kill one of them. One is a thief, and the other one is a...
The soldier had been sent to apprehend this thief and then kill his family in the process. And so it was, okay, which of these 2 guys do you think deserves to die? And then what people didn't realize a lot of the time, because we wanted to make the decisions feel really natural, and not feel gamey. So there's actually other options you can do. Like you can
not shoot them.
Yeah. I mean, you can shoot at the snipers, or you can try to cut down the ropes by shooting the ropes, or you can just wait and see what they do if you take too long. So there's also some other things that's going on that I think comes from the fact that we try to keep the normal controls in your hands. Yeah,
this example of those 2 guys that you had to choose, I actually did choose someone, and then someone from 2K said, well, you didn't even have to choose if you didn't want to. That is cool, because that doesn't make it right or wrong, or there is no right or wrong. Well, there is right or wrong, but it's more like when it's done, you know what was right or wrong.
Yeah, and particularly in this game, like with a lot of the decisions, it's not so much like the good option and the bad option. It's a bad option and another bad option, yes. And then it's you're making a tough decision, and you're gonna just have to decide which one you're more able to live with.
Yeah, and one of the other things which is very important, because it is in Dubai, is sand. And I had a lot of moments where sand got a big role. You can shoot windows and shoot... was it hard for the design process to make the sand stuff not look too scripted? Because it is pretty scripted, but also make it more natural feel in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have some of it that we did with that is we have a few scripted things, and then we have a few systemic things. Yeah. Actually, it's interesting, because early on we were pushing harder on that, and then we sort of realized that, for a game to really feel like a core shooter and to not feel like a terraforming simulation, we had to pull back a little. So we have these big scripted moments where the sand caves in underneath your feet or whatever, or the giant barrier comes down and just pours tons of sand onto guys. But then we also have some more subtle stuff, like sometimes there might be a vent over a fortified position that you'll just see a little bit trickling down. You can shoot that vent and it'll stun guys. Or if you throw a grenade on sand at any point, it'll kick up a big dust cloud, and that'll also stun guys that are anywhere near the dust cloud.
Some things you don't think about, but you have to just. Is there a tutorial where you get to learn that? Because there are a lot of things I forgot.
There's not a tutorial about the sand. We actually kind of wanted people to just discover that as they play. Like my favorite moments with the sand are always when, someone's trying to kill someone with a grenade, and then accidentally they suddenly the concrete barrier behind where the grenade exploded, starts caving in or something like that. So it's we just kind of liked letting people have the option to find these things themselves. Very
cool. This is a question where I'm famous about because it's my question. I made this up. If you have this question, ever heard this question by anyone before, I'm the one who made this up.
Okay.
It is a question which is so hard for you guys to answer. You probably run away crying.
Wow.
Or depressed.
Okay.
But don't be afraid. It's not scary.
This is like a date.
What?
I said this is like a date.
No, it's not. It's more intense. No, the question is, you're a designer, and there are always things in a game that you put a lot of effort in, but you know that nobody will ever see it. Do you have an example of Spec Ops Online where there's just one tiny design thing that you think, oh, we did so much work on this, and you know that nobody's ever going to see it?
Yeah, actually.
That is an awesome question, isn't it?
That is a good question, yeah. I can think of a couple things. Like one of them is, so I did the tuning on just sort of the core aiming controls of the game. And I think that's the kind of thing where you only get attention if you screw it up. It's like if you have it perfect, your very best case situation is that just no one notices.
Because it just feels right.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully no one notices. It's a weird situation. I'm actually hoping for anonymity. I'm hoping to fly under the radar there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Spec Ops The Line comes out.
It's a spring of this year.
Spring. There's not a date yet.
There's not a specific date just yet, but it's right around the corner.
Okay, well, pretty cool. For Xbox and PlayStation 3?
And PC.
And PC. Is that also in spring?
Yeah, all three simultaneous release.
Pretty cool. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to speak with you again when either the game launch or another project.
Yeah, great. I'd love to.
Thank you.